Hey everyone, my name is Daniel, and today I want to go ahead and talk about all the Power Platform enhancement features that were announced at the Ignite of 2024 in Chicago. And I gathered this from two different sessions. One was the main keynote that was led by Satya Nadella, and second, the session called The Future of Power Platform Intelligent Apps, which was led by Ryan Cunningham. In addition, in one of the demos, a new feature even sneaked out and they didn't even talk about it, but I immediately caught it, and I'm sure you will be interested to hear about that as well. So stick around, I have a lot to cover. Let's get into it. But first, here's my intro video. So this year's Microsoft Ignite was held in the city called Chicago in United States America, and today was the keynote. And one of the things I immediately noticed was how Satya, who led the first keynote, the opening keynote, said that the entire session and basically the entire event could be summarized into these three items, which was Copilot, Copilot devices, and the Copilot and AI stack. The Copilot itself also encompassed the entire thing for Microsoft 365 and Power Platform. And what I'm going to talk about is specifically for the Power Platform. Now, it's also interesting that I've heard Satya talk about this again and again, is that the Copilot is the UI for AI, UI standing user interface for AI, AI being artificial intelligence. And I kept hearing this again and again throughout the entire session. And I really like that because this concept really resonates with me, which is Copilot is the UI for AI. Basically, what it tells me is that it makes the whole integration of the back-end artificial intelligence so much more easier for IT professionals and citizen developers like me. All right, after that, Satya also talked about Copilot Studio, but in his keynote, he just gave an overview. Basically, what he was saying is that there's so much Copilot already available out of the box. However, if you have the need to customize it, leverage Copilot Studio because this is a low-code platform. However, you can do customizations using the developer side of it as well. Then came Charles Lamanna, and he started the announcement of the Copilot control system. He then transitioned into the whole concept of AI first company, which was using Copilot, Copilot Studio, and all the agents. But back about this Copilot control system, he was talking about from the Microsoft 365 standpoint. So I actually concurred that there were two different things over here. First of all, the monitoring piece of Copilot for Microsoft 365 side, which is in the Viva area. And then also the Power Platform administration section has a whole new category just to monitor all the Copilot pieces that are happening in Power Platform. But then he also talked about this new announcement called the Interpreter Agent, which is currently in public preview. And the demo was pretty neat because what he showed was somebody with a bit of an accent was actually talking in their own language. However, when the translation happened into English, it maintained that accent. The demo itself was pretty exciting. And I can even see some real world use cases for this. Then he briefly talked about the employee self-service agent. And again, this is in the Microsoft 365 side, which is all the Copilot features that are available out of the box in Power Platform. And this is what it is, the pre-built agents. So out of the box, you will have Copilot available in all of these different services, anywhere from Teams to Project Manager, SharePoint, and Dynamics 365 side. All of these are called as pre-built agents, which means by one symbol's click, it will do all the Copilot stuff using your existing content out of the box. So for the remaining part, I'll talk about all the features and announcements that were made in the session called The Future of Power Platform Intelligent Apps that was led by Ryan Cunningham. And the first thing was about Plan Designer. Now, I did get an overview of Plan Designer in the Power Platform Community Conference, which is back in Vegas. However, over here, they gave a little bit more information about all of it. And right over here, they actually gave this little demo. Initially, you now use the Copilot to go ahead and give a little description, a bit of a little details. And then here, you start planning. You give your business problem, you go ahead and identify all the users and the different roles that you may need. And on the right side, you basically get this entire graph type of a workflow look and feel to start planning how your apps flows, basically the whole solution should be. This is the entire concept of it, and it's really neat. There is AI generation directly involved in it, because as you can see, when you start talking about the tables and basically the data structure, on the right hand side, the planner is already going ahead and basically putting in your data tables. And voila, before you know it, your entire data schema is built. And as you can see over here, it's even going and doing one to many, many to one. The whole relationship is done. And this part of it should seem very familiar to you, because this is part of the new and enhanced Copilot which you use in Power Apps Canvas app. So the plan functionality really is almost like a prelude to that, where you go ahead and do some of the designing, and this is where you get the feedback that you need from the business unit, where the business people talk to the developers, and that is where the entire planning is done before you actually start implementing in the build phase. Very neat, very interesting, and helps in the planning before you do the implementation. Next is the feature to generate custom AI agents from existing app capabilities. And here's the demo. What you now do is create a custom agent specifically at an app level, and therefore Copilot Studio is leveraged for that. When you go ahead and give it an initial description and you click on next, you now put in the instructions specifically tied to that app. And then the AI will go ahead and generate that app, so that now when you go ahead and leverage the agent, it will be tied specifically to that app. So you can go and ask questions directly tied to that app, and also the data sources that the app is doing. In addition, it automatically goes ahead and makes the connections to the data sources, but you can also add more. So for example, if you went ahead and created an app, say with only Dataverse tables, but there might be more information, say in a SharePoint list or a library, completely fine. You can go ahead and make that connection as well. So this feature, it gives you that helping hand as an agent for your existing app. Pretty neat. I'm pretty sure I can find some scenarios to use this as well. Next is the improved in-app agents for data entry and summaries. Now, this sounds very similar to the one we just saw, but keep in mind this is purely for data entry. And the example that they showed over here was for a model-driven app, and how you have a Microsoft form, but to go and fill in the information and even design the form a little bit, you basically go and show an image and the form will get some ideas from there. So here we go. Here is the model-driven app, and you see on the top it says drop files or smart paste for Copilot to make suggestions. We basically went ahead and put in an image, and now AI is going ahead and analyzing that and giving some suggestions. And if you see the clipboard data over there, you basically go ahead and select on it, and even the fields are automatically populated. This is AI populating the fields all based on a screenshot that was given. Same thing happens over here. You go ahead and put in a Microsoft Word document which has all the data, and based on the data, that form automatically gets populated. This is pretty neat, because as the title mentions, it uses AI to go ahead and populate the data automatically. Pretty neat, and I'm pretty sure there are so many use cases for this already existing. Next set of announcements was geared towards the security side, which you and I know is also very important. And this is the introduction of managed security and managed operations. So let's take a look at the slide that was shared. On the left is the managed governance, which we are already familiar with. It has now been there out for about a year and a half. We were able to go ahead and do managed environments and really take the security to the next level. However, in addition, now you have two more features. You have managed operations and managed security. These are all the other bells and whistles that come along with it. So for the managed security, which is the new introduction piece, these are all the features and functionalities that come along with it. And some of these are already available, say at the Entra ID or on the Microsoft 365, but they are now available inside the Power Platform piece as well. Example over here is how you can put restrictions directly at a network security level by leveraging Internet Protocol locations and IP addresses. Oh, and by the way, see on the left side, this is where I noticed. See that Power Platform Admin Center? A whole new look. In fact, if you take a look at that left navigation, it is a completely different navigation. We'll take a look at that at the end. Next slide over here, it shows how you can add further granular restrictions for managed sharing, not just at the Power Apps level, but also at the Power Automate level, at the Copilot level, like each and every service level, more and more granular permissions can be added. Next was managed operations, and these are all the features that come along with it. Specifically, the application lifecycle management enhancements, or ALM, data resilience, and observability. All of these features are what you need to manage your Power Platform operations, and now more bells and whistles are there. First thing was all the deployments that you do across your pipelines. This gives you more granular level information. So over here in the screenshot itself, you can see a history of all the pipeline deployments that you've done, how many of them failed, how many of them are still active, and also some recommendations to go and put improvements. Next is how they've added a wizard process for your pipeline deployments in Power Platform. And not only are the deployments, but some of them which require approvals. See over here in the screenshot, there are pipeline activities that are going on. However, 389 of them are pending approvals, while it also shows you how many of them are failed. More granular level permissions on the pipeline side, this one including approvals before even the deployment happens from one environment to the other. This one is pretty neat because now you can also do monitoring, not at the entire environment level, but right down to the app level. So the example that they showed is how a maker will view inside the Power Platform. On the slide, you can see these are all the apps tied to a specific maker, but this is a custom monitoring screen only for that maker level. On the left side, you can see all the time taken for interactions on the app. On the middle, it shows the total number of time lapse for full apps to load. And then on the right, it even shows success rate. For example, are all the apps being fully utilized? Are there any request forms that need to be tweaked? Things like that. Pretty neat, but again, important thing over here is that this is at the maker level. So you don't need to have Power Platform admin level, right down to the makers who are also very keen on the knowledge of their own apps. This gives them that further information that they need. All right, so as they were going through all these demonstrations about the enhanced managed features, this screenshot completely caught my attention because over here they were showing the next iteration or the enhancement of the Power Platform Admin Center or PPAC. And I immediately noticed it is completely different. So over here, it talks about the monitoring of overall at the different service level like Power Apps, Power Automate, even a section for Copilot. But now, if you go to your Power Platform Admin Center, you might already have this, or very soon you will have a toggle option on the top right. See that I'm showing over here? This will show you the new look and feel of how the PPAC, which is Power Platform Admin Center, is going to look. And I will do a whole separate video on this topic, but I do want to call it out that at this Ignite, they are releasing this new enhancement and they already started demonstrating this in all these other sections that they had. They didn't really openly announce about it. Yes, there is a dedicated session to it, but in these two keynotes, they just displayed it. They didn't say anything about that, but it immediately caught my attention. And I know you will like this too. So this was just an overview of all the announcements that they made on day one of Microsoft. And by day one, specifically the opening keynote and also a keynote specifically for the Power Platform. Some neat features are coming out, and I promise I will deep dive in each and every one of them. But for now, at least you have a good overview of all the key announcements that were made. Hello, hello, hello. So if you like this video, go ahead and click on that subscribe button and smash that like button. Also, if you have a few extra seconds, can you go ahead and put in a comment? Either say something nice or give me ideas for my next video. And until then, see ya.